Just want to start this off by saying no. I didn't leave the church because of what I learned about Joseph Smith later on, or that the fact that there wasn't horses in the Americas, or any of these things, or the fact that Native American people have zero Egyptian DNA within them and they are most likely Eastern Chinese. None of that actually bothered me. The only reason I left the church is because of how it affected me and the people around me. The church seemed to be this guideline of how we live better, properly, purely, and to become these soldiers for God. And what I got, or what I saw, was people trying everything to live by these rules, feeling shameful about themselves, feeling disgusted with who they were, and not ending up in a good place at all. Ending up in a place where they feel totally alone, totally rejected, and like they shouldn't have existed at all. And on the other spectrum, I also see people that tried to live by these rules and failed. They'd commit adultery, or worse. And yet these were some of the people that were up there speaking the strongest and the most passionately about how we have to live for God and we must follow these rules because this is how we show our love for God. Now looking back on those talks, it seems like these are talks out of anger. And they were directed at, most of the time, us as children. It seems like they were frustrated with themselves or their inability to follow these rules. It was really hard for me to leave the church because I had felt so peaceful, so loved by the community. But the second I started asking the real questions, it fell apart. You're telling me I can never go to the celestial kingdom? You're telling me that just my core being of existing is the same as committing pedophilia or worse? It didn't make sense. It really didn't. Especially when they talk about stuff like homosexuality is out of sexual perversion. I had straight relationships that were awful in the sense that it was overly sexualized and I was used and it just didn't feel good. It felt gross. And I'm now in a same-sex relationship where I feel loved, supported, and like the luckiest person on the fucking planet. And there's no sexual gratification necessary. I'd go celibate for my boy for the rest of my life. I fucking wouldn't for the church, but I would for him. It's ridiculous, the stuff that I was told and the stuff that I had to slowly learn. And it's upsetting because of how passionate and how much I wanted this for myself. I wanted so bad to be a part of the celestial kingdom. I wanted so bad to be a soldier of God or to work with him or to become like him. I wanted that more than anybody I knew. But to be told that to do that, my core being had to be thrown out the window, I just started to want to ask more questions, and that didn't put me in a better stance with the church. Unfortunately, unlike they claim, me asking questions was a real problem. I'd ask questions to the bishop where he would just recite the LDS website, and then if I asked something beyond it, he would shrug his shoulders and be like, "Oh, I don't know about that one." He'd compare me to pedophilia. I didn't leave the church because of it wasn't good or amazing, because it was. The community was beautiful. The ability to go and worship was more than I could have ever asked for. But really, God thinks that the way he made me is something that I need to apologize for? The way that God constructed me, I need to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness for. And I didn't hurt anybody or myself. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That's a really prominent question that I still to this day have. I left the church because of that question. Not specifically that one. After that, I was just questioning everything. And I was just like, well, what about this? And what about Moroni's promise? I feel like I've been more sincere than anything in my life begging for Moroni's promise, and it didn't come to me. What about the people that are left in the dust? The people that you're looking at from that celestial room, and the core of their being is left them in a state of suffering for eternity? And a lot of people be like, well, we don't believe gay people go to hell. Right, but I'll never enter the celestial kingdom, and that is heaven. Whether you want to put it a different way or not, three kingdoms, heaven, whatever, that is the actual heaven. That is the end goal, right? And you guys believe in eternal progression. So the core of my being would stick me to a kingdom that is almost the same as Earth. I forgot if it's the terrestrial or the telestial. I always forget which one's above the other. But yeah, you're bounding me to a state of eternal suffering. And since I've read that book, and since I've followed this church so strongly, and I thought that this was the one true church and that I could never turn my back on it, and then I did, I might go to a worse place. I care a lot about my LDS friends and my LDS family, and I love them more than they will ever be able to realize. It just really hurts when this argument's been going on for thousands of years about my core being, and it's still happening, and it's still something that God says he denounces. I want you guys to go read the Bible and tell me where God says that he doesn't accept homosexuals into his kingdom. It doesn't exist. There's a few pages like Leviticus people point to and say, well, it says thou shalt not lay with another man right there. What about Genesis chapter 25, where God commands the genocide of men, women, and children, or the instructions on how to take care of a slave? Oh, well, those are just the mistakes of man, or you don't have the historical context. Why can't I attribute that to that phrase? Why can't I attribute that to Leviticus or anything else? Well, you don't have the historical context. That city, Sodom and Gomorrah, was full of sexual deviancy, adultery, pedophilia, and horrible things. It was an attempt to end all of that. That doesn't mean it's a forever eternal law. Nothing about this makes sense. And for people like Joseph Smith or current day prophets claiming that this is the law of God and that you must obey him, you must lay down your life to join him in his kingdom, it's a scary thought for me. A lot of LDS ritual from back in the day, I shall spill my guts and slit thy throat, stuff like that. Although that has fallen totally out of the LDS norm now it's just you have to give up everything you are. That's painful for a reason. The reason you don't feel good about us hating gay people is because God is testing you. God is telling you that you must lay down everything you are and give up everything you have to follow him. I say that doesn't make sense. People compare this to stuff like Isaac and like him almost dying to his father sacrificing him just because God told him to. How could that be the same as the way I'm born or the way I'm created? How? Please tell me how. I don't have an answer for you. Now, if you join the LDS Church, you have two options. You could be celibate or mixed orientation marriage as a homosexual man. If you go celibate, your chance of suicide is extraordinarily high. If you enter a mixed orientation marriage, your chance of divorce is almost 80% higher than the average divorce rate. This stuff is disgusting. I've personally lost friends and family to the way that it is a shame culture on purity and stuff like this. You should be disgusted with yourself. How could you defy your God in your own room and just sit there like a disgusting being, beating your meat? It's disgusting. It's shame culture, and it's never caused a single person to become better. I see people only becoming worse or on the verge of suicide. The suicide rate for homosexuals is astronomically high in Utah. And I know the reason why. There's just one organization that won't fucking talk about it. This stuff makes me sick. It made me sick to my stomach, and I wanted to question everything. And the second I did, my whole belief in my whole worldview collapsed in my arms. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I had been lied to. I had been manipulated. And I had felt shame for so long for just being who I am. And the second I let go of that, the second I was happy for the first time. That's not to say that me wanting to go to the celestial kingdom and the spiritual experience I had weren't significant, because they were. But I now know a God that loves me and wants me to worship him, and the God that I would personally worship, probably a false idol compared to you, according to you guys, doesn't exist within this religion. I am told that I must apologize. I must get down on my knees and beg God for forgiveness, simply for being who I am. This is my answer. If I enter heaven, if I die tomorrow, and God asks, "Are you sorry, my son? Do you feel like you made a mistake? Will you repent for those mistakes?" I hate to say that I would have to turn my back on my own God. You're begging me to apologize for a way that you created me. How dare you? This is not a like the other 10 commandments, where these are ways to improve your life and improve the lives of those around you. Because I tell you what, I have not hurt a single person, and I have not affected people around me in a negative way because of this. I am not sorry. I refuse to be sorry. But I still love God. I couldn't be by a God's side that believes that. I couldn't. So that's why I left the church. That's genuinely how I feel. This is not a blanket statement of what all LDS people are like or what the church believes. This is simply my experience and how I feel. I mean, this is a little bit, the church does believe all this stuff. Seriously, go on the church website. It's some astonishing things. They say it in very nice ways, but if you really look at the context, you might throw up. Anyway, I love all of you, LDS or not. LDS, I care a lot about you. It's incredible that you found a thing that makes you feel peace and love and close to God. I hope you never let that go. It just didn't work for me. Have a good rest of your day, guys. It's been an incredible video. It's been really hard to make this video without getting emotional. This is like my 10th take, and 3 of them I was just started crying on. So I wanted to do this right and effectively. If you have any more questions about the LDS Church or why I left, please put them in the comments below. I will try to answer every single one of them. Still trying to do the 4 videos a week thing. It's just really hard if I want them to be professional, because, I mean, like today, I've sat here for 3 hours trying to get this right. I love you, and I really mean that. Have an incredible day.